Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this morning. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, the status quo, chapter 15, description of the kingdom of God, and we're on verse 34 today. Before that, let's chant the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayasva Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttamasloke Bhaktir Abhinayasave. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's chant our verse today. Tadvamamusya paramasya vikuण्ठभर्तु कर्तुं प्रकृष्टं इह धीमहि मन्दधिभ्याम् लोकान् इतो व्रजतमन्तरभावदृष्ट्या पापीयशस्त्रय इमे रिपवोश्च यत्र तद्वाममुष्य परमस्य विकुण्ठभर्तु कर्तुं प्रकृष्टम् इह धीमहि मन्दधिव्याम् लोकानितो व्रजतमन्तरभावदृष्ट्या पापीयशस्त्रय इमे रिपवोश्च यत्र तद्वाममुष्य परमस्य विकुण्ठभर्तु कर्तुं प्रकृष्टम् इह धीमहि मन्दधिव्याम् लोकानितो व्रजतमन्तरभावदृष्ट्या पापीयशस्त्रय इमे रिपवोश्च यत्र. Krishna, please recite.
Tadvam amushya paramasya vaikuntabhruto kartum prakristam iha dhimahi nanda mandadibhyam lokan iti vrajatam antarabhava drishya papiyashastriya timiri bripavosya yatra.
तद्वाम् अमुष्य परमस्य विगुण्डवर्तुः कर्तुं प्रकृष्टम् इह धीमहि मन्दधिप्याम् लोकान् इदो व्रजताम् अन्तरभावदृष्ट्याम् पापीयशस्त्रय इमे रिपवो अस्य यत्र.
Krishna. Tadbham amusya paramasya vaikuntabhartur kartum prakastam iha dhimai manda dhimaya dhibhayam loka ito bhrajatam antarabhava drishtaya papishayatraya ime ripavo ashayatra. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Tadvam amusya paramasya vaikuntabhartu vikundhabhartu kartum prakristam iha dhimahi mandadibhya lokanihito vrajatam antarbhavadrishtya पापीयशस्त्रया हिमे रिपवो हर्ष्य यत्र. कृष्ण. Thank you.
तद्वाममुष्य परमस्य विकुण्ठभर्तु कर्तुं प्रकृष्टम् इह धीमहि मन्दधीभ्याम् लोकान् इतो व्रजतम् अन्तरभावदृष्ट्या पापी यशस्त्रय इमे रिपवोऽस्य अत्र.
Anyone else? Okay, so word for word synonyms. That, therefore, vam, unto these two, amusya, of him, paramasya, the supreme, Vaikuntha bharatuhu, the lord of Vaikuntha, kartum, to bestow, prakristam, benefit, iha, in the matter of this offense, dhimahi, let us consider, mandadhivyam, those whose intelligence is not very nice, Lokan, to the material world. Itaha, from this place, Vaikuntha. Brajatam, go. Antarabhava, duality. Drishtya, on account of seeing. Papiyasaha, sinful. Trayaha, three. Ime, these. Ripavaha, enemies. Asya, of a living entity. Yatra, where. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Translation. Therefore, let us consider how these two contaminated persons should be punished. The punishment should be apt. Thus, benefit can eventually be bestowed upon them. Since they find duality in the existence of Vaikuntha life, they are contaminated and should be removed from this place to the material world, where the living entities have three kinds of enemies. Purport. The reason why pure souls come into the existential circumstances of the material world, which is considered to be the criminal department of the Supreme Lord, is stated in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, verse 27. It is stated that as long as a living entity is pure, he is in complete harmony with the desires of the Supreme Lord. But as soon as he becomes impure, he is in disharmony with the desires of the Lord. By contamination, he is forced to transfer to this material world, where the living entities have three enemies, namely desire, anger, and lust. These three enemies force the living entities to continue material existence, and when one is free from them, he is eligible to enter the kingdom of God. One should not, therefore, be angry in the absence of an opportunity for sense gratification, and one should not be lusty to acquire more than necessary. In this verse, it is clearly stated that the two doormen should be sent into the mortal world, where criminals are allowed to reside. Since the basic principles of criminality are sense gratification, anger, and unnecessary lust, persons conducted by these three enemies of the living entity are never promoted to Vaikuntha Loka. People should learn Bhagavad Gita and accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, as the Lord of everything. They should practice satisfying the senses of the Supreme Lord instead of trying to satisfy their own senses. Training in Krishna consciousness will help one be promoted to Vaikuntha. Hare Krishna. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपपदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. Before speaking on this glorious verse, I would like to take permission and blessings from all of you assembled senior devotees here, so that I can be the instrument to bring the right thing that Srila Prabhupada is trying to make us understand. Vanchakalpataruvasya kripasindhivasya patitanam pavanam. Okay, I'll do the translation again. Therefore, let us consider how these two contaminated persons should be punished. The punishment should be apt, for thus benefit can eventually be bestowed upon them. Since they find duality in the existence of Vaikuntha life, they are contaminated and should be removed from this place to the mortal world, where the living entities have three kinds of enemies. So, currently, today, in this verse, we are in Vaikuntha, the spiritual world. The four right, the four Kumaras, the eternal celibate sages, they travel to the Vaikuntha out of eagerness to see Lord Narayana. So we saw in yesterday's verse, they were criticizing the two gatekeepers, the transcendental two gatekeepers. Right? And today, what they are going to do? They're going to punish them. Right? So at the gate, Jaya and Vijay, the doorkeepers of the Lord, they stop the Kumaras. And it is Vaikuntha. So this is shocking, right? Why they would stop them? Because Vaikuntha should be or is free from any envy or anger or discrimination, and no one blocks a devotee. Or say the Kumaras are already great sages; they technically should not be stopped, right? So that is the background we are there, and so now we enter today's verse that they're going to get cursed. So today's verse is actually the answer to a deep question. Why do pure souls come to the mortal world? So Srila Prabhupada here in the purport gives the reason. He says in the purport that as long as we are pure, we remain in harmony with the Lord. And when contamination begins, the disharmony starts. And that disharmony forces the living entity into the mortal world. Right? The real reason for the fall, Srila Prabhupada states from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 27, Ichha dvaisa samuthena donda mohena bharata. Right? And the two main reasons is Ichha and Dvaisa. Ichha is desire that is separate from Krishna, and Dvaisa is dislike of Krishna's plan or envious of Krishna. So these are the duality. And in a practical sense, or in a layman term, what is duality? Means it's like favorite and non-favorite, good or bad. I like this devotee, I don't like that devotee. Sorry, I think I went too far. So the moment we see duality, we cannot remain in Vaikuntha, right? That's what Srila Prabhupada is trying to make us understand. And here we see from the example of Jaya and Vijay, the duality. They're trying to show us the example. And we are gatekeepers. That's important. And these sages, they're not important because they're like a small kid, naked, right? So this subtle pride actually contaminated them. And what is the lesson we're learning here is even a trace of pride, slight, or duality cannot coexist with Krishna's pure abode. So then, and the other part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada says this, up to here, let's see. These three enemies force the living entities to continue mortal existence, and when one is free from them, he is eligible to enter the kingdom of God. One should not therefore be angry in the absence of an opportunity for sense gratification, and one should not be lusty to acquire more than necessary. In this verse, it is clearly stated that the true doorman should be sent into the mortal world, where criminals are allowed to reside, like us, criminals. Since the basic principles of criminality are sense gratification, anger, and unnecessary lust, persons conducted by these three enemies of the living entity are never promoted to Vaikuntha Loka. So actually, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his Sarartha Darsini commentary, brings out that subtleties from this verse that are not immediately visible in the literal translation. Let me share that. I will share the Sarartha Darsini commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti here. This is the commentary. We are in verse 34, right? Translation. Here. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, we should think of something beneficial for you, dull servants of the Lord of Vaikuntha. Dull. Go from Vaikuntha to the mortal worlds where these three sinful enemies exist because of same differences. Very strong, harsh words. Okay, let's then for in the commentary he says, not being specified by criticizing them. They were criticizing in the last verse. The Kumaras cursed them out of great anger. Therefore, Tad, let us think of something most beneficial for you two persons of low intelligence. Very harsh. Let us think of something that includes removal of your seeing difference, of your obstructing brahmanas, and of your insulting the Lord. Okay? They're saying you're insulting the Lord. Being silent for a moment, they then spoke. This is also important. Being silent for a moment, they then spoke. You should go from Vaikuntha, Itaha. Itaha means indicating from here, to those places where sinful enemies exist as these three enemies, lust, anger, and greed. Chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita, verse 21, by seeing difference as offenders. Using the word these, ime, right, in the Sanskrit verse, also indicates that now lust, anger, and greed were present, having arisen in the Kumaras. That's a little striking point there. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is revealing the inner psychology of the curse. And using the word these, ime here, the last line, Krishna. Oh my God, I didn't mean to click it. Where did my Kindle go? Here. The last line. You're using the word these, ime, also indicates that now lost anger and greed were present, having arisen in the Kumaras. So this means, although the Vaikuntha is a place where Kama, Krodha, Lova, they do not exist, those qualities suddenly manifested in the Kumaras due to the offense they perceived. I'll share our verse back again. Here, here, and this. Okay. So here, so the fall of Jaya and Vijaya is not due to the four Kumaras curse alone, right? It was the way it was put in here is like it was a cosmic necessity, as the four says, is deemed important to protect the pure atmosphere of Vaikuntha and um, um, for the Lord, as they say, it is for the, because in the commentary we saw that Bhagavad Thakur said, "You're insulting the Lord," right? So for the Lord and to protect the atmosphere, pure atmosphere of Vaikuntha, the four Kumaras decided to curse them, right? That is the hidden reason Bhagavad Thakur is giving, aside from the famous one, very famous and the very main reason, which was the Lord's desire. He wanted to play release the Birya Rasa, right? So here again back to the four Kumaras, they said like we should think of something beneficial for you dull servants, as we saw. See, very harsh words, right? And then the Kumaras, they call them Manda Buddhi. I think it is on the verse too. Manda Dhimahi or something like, yeah, Manda Dhivyam. Manda Dhivyam. Those whose, in the word for worship of writes, those whose intelligence is not very nice. So they are saying Manda Dhimahi to Manda Dhivyam to the gatekeepers, to Jai and Vijay. And then Vishwanath Saraswati Thakur says, their harshness was not cruelty. It was anger born out of love for the purity of Vaikuntha and for the Lord. And he also meant that, when I can't remember the class where I heard, but anger on behalf of the Lord is a spiritual emotion, right? But the moment the anger enters, that it reveals the duality, material vibration, and the disturbance in spiritual consciousness. And therefore, the four Kumaras, they realized this anger should not exist in Vaikuntha. We must speak something that restore the spiritual harmony. So this decided, and the Kumaras, the curse, we'll see later that it was actually mercy. But the point Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur hits is like, let us, where it is, let us think something most beneficial for you, right? And that is extremely deep. Let us consider how, when we read the translation here, we don't see it clearly. Let us consider how this contaminated person should be punished. The punishment should be apt, for thus, oh yeah, it is here, for thus benefit can eventually be bestowed upon them, right? If someone is angry, they will not me, I would not think of anyone's benefit, right, when you are angry. But here the four says is they were angry, they criticized the Jaya and Vijay, and now they are thinking like we need to punish them, but that should be beneficial for them too, right? So when we see this, it's like the curse is going to be the mercy now. And we also, the example of that thing, like somebody's cursing someone, but when you see the bigger picture, it's the mercy, it's the benefit. Like Narada Muni, when he saw Manikriva and Nalapugar in the Damodar Leela, right? They were naked, having the optimal sense gratification, all those kind of things. It looked like Narada Muni seemed offended, right? Because they didn't care about Narada Muni passing by, and he cursed them. But the bigger picture is he was very compassionate. Out of compassion, he cursed those two sons of Kuvera so that they get the mercy of Lord Krishna. So in similar way, here also the four sages are going to curse them, and they are also considering their benefit, right? And what they want to do, they want to remove the duality in Jaya and Vijay. They want to purify the offense of blocking devotees, and they want to remove the pride that Jaya and Vijay subconsciously manifested, saying, we are the gatekeeper, we decide who go inside, right? So, and also to protect the spotless environment of the Vaikuntha. And then it is also like in our layman term, we can say that when someone gets sick, you go to the doctor, or specifically nowadays, Ayurveda is getting very taking the market, I should say. So the medicines you get is usually bitter, starts with the bitter one, right? But that's how we get treated. So here the curse is also compared to the bitter medicine. And then the next line is like they are saying, since here they find duality in the existence of Vaikuntha life, they are contaminated and should be removed from this place to the material world, where the living entities are three kinds of enemies. Why? The Kumaras, they want to send them specifically to the material world. That is our world, right? That's because the lust, anger, and greed, the three enemies, they exist only in the material world. So, and the other reason is in Vaikuntha that duality cannot be corrected, because that doesn't exist in Vaikuntha. So they're saying you must go to a place designed for training, learning, and purification. And in the commentary, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, this line about the three enemies, he said that it perfectly aligns with Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter, verse 21, right? And lust, anger, and greed, that are the gates leading to the hell. And also another point, very stunning point that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur made from this verse is he says that the Kumara's own anger was also a sign of contamination. That means they were also contaminated, not only Jaya and Vijay. He actually says that we just read, right? Using the word these ime, last line. Papi yasastraya ime ripavusya yatra. Ime, I forgot what the word they say for those. Ime means these. These means you close to you, right? It's right, the email, this book, this, right? And if they were not right there, they should have pointed far forward, like pointing like those. But he said, the Kumara said these, email. So that means they also had that contamination. And this also shows their wonderful humility, the four sages, that they felt that material qualities, they felt that anger, they felt that lost anger and greed, right? But they were temporarily affected. When they said like they paused in silence for a while and then they spoke, that means they did not speak from that uncontaminated anger, I mean uncontrolled anger. They knew they were angry, but they paused, right? They paused and say, let us consider. Paused, a pause, because they were angry at the moment. And they spoke from the contemplation they were going to consider, right? And this silence is actually here a model for us, right? And so here, what we learn from this commentary is like these small offenses, it seems small, but they create the whole, I mean, it's a mortal quality that blocks us from our spiritual advancement. Just as that tiny moment of pride, just a tiny moment of pride, Jai and Vijay caused that, stirred a whole thing here, right? So, and then we can also see that even the sages for Kumaras, they were so highly advanced that they didn't want to grow up. They wanted to stay like a child so that they don't have to deal with the sense gratification or the senses, right? So they also can become angry, right? So, I mean, what to talk about us? They were such transcendental people. They were second. So we must be very careful, right? To watch our emotions. That's what Srila Prabhupada is trying to make us understand. And another point he says at the end, Srila Prabhupada says is like people should learn Bhagavad Gita and accept the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, as the Lord of everything. They should practice satisfying the senses of the Supreme Lord instead of trying to satisfy their own senses. Training in Krishna consciousness will help one be promoted to Vaikuntha. Right? This mortal world actually is the training ground. Right? And also, it also means like our entire life is this is school that we're going to learn. From this whole pastime of four Kumaras cursing the transcendental eternal servant of Lord Narayana, Jai and Vijay, is showing that punishment from a devotee is actually purification. Their curse was out of love, not hatred. And the question might come like, how come the four Kumaras who were outsiders, right? They were just traveling. They were like wanderer. They're wandering to the Vaikuntha. And they cursed Lord's personal gatekeeper. And, I think in the later past time, after all these commotion, Lord Narayana with Lakshmi Devi will come out and to see what is happening at the door, right? And that time we will see that Lord Narayana will side to the four Kumaras. Like, okay, you curse them. Now I cannot I cannot, defy it. I can give two options. Do you want to take 3 births or you want to take 7 births? Like that, right? So why would Lord take their side, not taking his own personal gatekeepers? That question arises in everyone's mind, right? And mm, the most satisfying answer I got was because everything here, nothing happens without God's will, like without Krishna's will, not even a blade of grass. Right? We have been hearing that time and again. So here, Krishna wanted to taste that virya rasa. He wanted to have that, that exchange with his devotees. So he orchestrated this whole pastime. And when that happened, um, Narayana, taking their side, goes with the four Kumaras and says like, okay, let's do this. And he also knew the heart of Jai and Vijay because they were his personal servant, right? So he knew them, and he also knew that they are going to choose the difficult path, or I'll say, if Jay and Vijay knew what Krishna wanted or what Narayana wanted. That's why they said we want 3 lifetimes as a demon instead of getting 7 births as a devotee, so that we can get back home, back to Godhead as soon as possible. And that was Lord Jai he wanted to fight, right? Um, and then the only thing at last is mm, four Kumaras also wanted to make this point very loud and clear that in the Vaikuntha there is the only difference is between one devotee and another, but never between. No, sorry, what did I say? Only difference is between the kind of devotion between one and another, not between one devotee and the other. And that's what Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur tried to make us understand that. I feel like this last line that Srila Prabhupada wrote in purport really is summing up the whole verse and also the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement. People should learn Bhagavad Gita and accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna as the Lord of everything. They should practice satisfying the senses of the Supreme Lord instead of trying to satisfy their own senses. Training in Krishna consciousness will help one be promoted to Vaikuntha. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. I would like to pause here and invite for more comments, reflections, and more points. Hare Krishna. Let's share. Let's stop the share. Hare
Thank you, Mother Shamagori.
Bol.
Really nice class. Nice presentation of the material there from Srila Prabhupada and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Yeah, it's the last couple of days we've had some nice conversation about this verse. I mean, about this pastime, and each time we hear more about it, as the verses continue, we learn more. Just yeah, so when you hear about this, it's hard for us to make a determination or a judgment in the mood of the four Kumaras, right? And without understanding the backstory, because they too were quite. I mean, they were doing what they thought was best, right? So they were acting, saying, "Okay, these are imposters. They shouldn't be behaving this way." Right? So they were making a judgment based on their knowledge and understanding, and they were quite, pure themselves. And then you have, pure servants, Jai and Vijay, in the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, and they have their service to do. And, and you have this conflict that's there, and it's hard, both don't have intentions of hurting the other, but yet there's still, some conflict has arisen, regardless. And so that's bewildering, how these things happen, how these things can happen. I think it's a lesson how we really don't know a person's intention, right? And it's hard to judge that intention, unless we truly understand, what the person is thinking. Yeah, it's amazing how this pastime has arisen and how it's unfolding, and it's all part of the Lord's plan. Because some people may take the side of Jai and Vijay, some people may take the side of the four Kumaras, and uh, even with something that's transcendental, it still appears to be this. This person's wrong, that person is wrong. Anyway, thank you. That was just my reflection.
Thank you.
About today's class and this pastime that we're reading. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mother Shamagori. Thank you again. It makes us think. It really makes us think, and it has been making us think over the last few verses, like Drona Prabhu was saying. I think to me, what really came through was how we have to be very careful with that. And that line, it took me several times to read and try to understand this one about be angry in the absence of an opportunity for sense gratification. I was like, what does it, I mean, it took me some time to understand, and that is, I think, where the key is absence of sense we shouldn't be getting angry in the absence of sense gratification. For me, it took a little time to understand what Srila Prabhupada was trying to explain there. But that is the key.
Right.
And like you were saying, anger to be used for the Lord is different versus our anger. And our anger comes when our senses are not gratified. And so it's amazing how much inward thinking, how much introspection we have to understand. And I think that, like when Drona Prabhu was saying, all of us think we are doing the right thing. And obviously we don't do what we think is wrong. I mean, if we know that something is wrong, we wouldn't do it. We do what we think is right. But to be able to see, is that because my senses are not gratified, or am I, it's just amazingly, it's difficult. And how much we have to actually be conscious. And then, it brings me back to Srila Prabhupada naming this, ISKCON as Krishna consciousness. That consciousness is, we have to, and why we have to chant constantly, it's because then our consciousness will be in the right place. I always love Sunday morning classes. It gives us time to, we're not rushing off to work. And so it gives us time to think through. And I used to think Sunday classes are really wonderful, because somebody has said, the Sunday speaker has said something wonderful. But I'm realizing now it's because we pay attention. At least I am paying attention today and listening and doing only this versus trying to run away to work. Thank you very much, Mother Syamagori.
Thank you so much, Mother Savarati. I always look for your summarization. You really nicely wrap up the class, actually.
Yeah, and only on Sundays.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Madhusudhan.
What I realize that sometimes we are very, very careful. Always we are doing chanting or trying to purify ourselves. But what happens sometimes, other person's behavior triggers our anger. And we forget everything and we become angry. So in this case, like Jai Vijay's behavior, even four Kumaras were very spiritually advanced. They got their behavior, Jai Vijay's behavior triggered their anger. So for us, I think that sometimes it happens to me also. I try to be very, very careful. Sometimes what happens when we are not careful, we get angry quickly. And later we realize, oh, I should not do like that. But some other person's behavior, when we are not strong, our anger develops. That's what I realize. We have to just make our sadhana strong.
Very, very right said, Madhusudhan, yes.
Thank you.
I remember one of the video, I don't know if it is Gauranga Prabhu or Gaur Gopal Prabhu, one of them made a video about, like when you squeeze, I think it's Gaur Gopal Prabhu, when you squeeze orange and you expect apple juice, don't want to happen because you are squeezing orange, so oranges will come out. So those situations, those provoking situations, it's like squeezing us. And like you said, if our sadhana is not strong, then we get angry real quick because that's what inside us. So we cannot expect forgiveness or peace or anything like that because we are breeding that juice inside us. The anger, it's not gone yet. So that's what we get.
Yeah. Thank you very much. This class is really giving us a lot of information and very nice class. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for giving me the opportunity to sing, first of all. And the other thing is, when we get anger, so we forget everything at the spur of the moment. That is what the bad thing happens to anybody.
Right.
The spur of the moment, we all know that that is not good. Anger is not good. We have to be quietly thinking what happened. But that spur of the moment, we in this material world, I'm talking about, we just forget everything and we act according to that. Then we repent.
Right.
When we cool down, we know that what we did and why we did, we should not have done this. So all these things, anger is a very, very dangerous thing. We all know that. But still, it happens sometimes. When we think quiet and calmly, we think that, oh, I did it wrong. I should have little bit sober to that person. So that's what bothers me all the time. Because anger is very, very bad. That's why they say, when you get anger, count few seconds, count them. Then it comes down. I don't know how it is. We all think that is not good one, but we still, sometimes spur of the moment it happens. So Krishna only has to take care of us.
But we also should not forget that anger for the on behalf of Krishna is a spiritual emotion. It's not bad, but we have to dovetail it for his service, not for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, not easy though. Jagannath Chandra Prabhu is also there. Looks like. Do you have any realization, reflection? I think Jagannath Chandra, isn't that Jagannath Chandra Prabhu in there?
Yeah.
What did you say, Shamagori
Do you have
Mata?
any reflections or any more points to add to today's class?
No, thank you for a nice class, Mataji. Yeah, no, I agree with Shobhirade Mataji that Sunday morning your mind is more relaxed, so
Right.
you can imbibe more of the meaning. And who are we to judge the four Kumaras? They are the,
Correct.
they do things for the Lord which we can't even fathom. So they are, I mean, even more than the demigods.
That's true.
They are the first Manasaputras of Lord Brahma who come out first in the creation of the universe. And they are millions and billions and trillions of years old. But whatever they do is absolute. It's not something. I mean, it's so close to what the Lord Himself does, because they are such close associates of the Lord. As mere humans sitting around Philadelphia, who are we to judge?
Right.
Thank you for a thought-provoking, nice class, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
We miss your association here in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia right now.
Oh, okay.
You're in Philadelphia right now?
Yeah. Why Zoom?
Zoom, okay.
I'm in between all Philadelphia. Yeah, that's why.
Thank you very much for a nice class.
Thank you. Okay. All for today. Is there any announcement or anything? So
Don't what answers usually.
I don't have any of the Rona Prabhu.
Yeah, no, Sunday Feast tonight. We're going to be launching our Live to Give Bhagavad Gita campaign. We'll start tonight. And also, you may have seen in the newsletter or on the WhatsApp group, the temple, we have some nice bakers at the temple, devotees that can bake, and they're making some items for people's Thanksgiving. So if you want to order pies or cakes or other items that are listed there, that is also available.
That's nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
नमो नमः।
Hare Krishna.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय।